In this video, we're going to be looking at HubFit's check-in system. I'm going to show you how it works from the code side, how you can create these check-ins, give them to your clients, and how the review system works. And then I'm going to show you how the check-ins work from the client side. So let's jump straight into it. I'm going to head over to the forms in our library section. And here you can create all your forms and have them in your own library so that it's quicker to give them to clients. So right now I'm in the check-ins section of my personal library. So here you can see the check-ins that I currently have in my own library. To add the check-in, you can click on this add check-in button. So if I go ahead and click on this, you'll see you can create a new check-in, or you can use one of the templates and build off of that. So if I click on this template, you'll see there's 4 different templates. You can import and then just build off that. If you create a new check-in, you can give the check-in name, you can give a description or instructions. Let's say this is a weekly check-in and you have specific instructions you want to share with the clients, you can put that here. And you can also give each check-in a cover photo. So you get these images preset, you can pick from these, or you can just upload your own image. So I'm just going to close this and go ahead and click on a check-in that I already have. So if I click on this weekly check-in, you'll see we have a couple of questions over here. You can see which questions are set as required. You can see the type of question. So there's different types, like if it's a yes or no, if it's a star rating question. I'm going to show you how that looks like in a bit. And then here you can see all the questions that you've added to this check-in. To add a question, you can click on this add question button. So if I go ahead and click on this, you'll see you can add the question, and you have multiple different types of format you can give each question. Over here you have basic text question. You can have a number type questions. You can also have multiple choice. So if I go ahead and click on this, you'll see here you can have single option or multiple option. So as you add your options for this question, you can decide if you want to allow the client to select one or select multiple options. Here you have a scale question. So they get a scale out of 10 and they can use a slider to answer the question. Here's just a yes or no. Here is a media type question. The client can upload an image or a video. If I go ahead and click on this, you'll see here you can determine how many files they can upload. So maybe you want the client to upload 3 form videos in their weekly check-in. Here you have a date type question. Here's a star rating. So they'll get 5 stars and they can answer the question by rating. And here's a signature. So in the app, they can do a digital signature. So you might use this in a initial questionnaire or a PARQ form. Here you have 2 special types of questions. These are synced questions. And what that means is that when these are answered through the check-ins, they're also synchronized across a client's profile. I'll show you what that looks like later on. Next, you'll see that you have a reposition option. So this is just to move the questions around. And here you have schedule. Here you can set the schedule for the check-in. So you have daily. So if I click on daily, I can pick the days. If you want it every single day, you can check off every single day. Maybe you just want it on the weekends, you can just click on the weekends, or maybe it's just weekdays. So this is more flexible if you pick daily. If you pick weekly, you can pick the day of the week that this check-in would be set for. You also have the option of bi-weekly. So if you click on bi-weekly, you can pick if you want it the 1st and the 3rd week of the month, or the 2nd and the 4th week of the month, and then you can pick the day. And here you have monthly, so you can pick if the check-in is due at the start of the month, at the end of the month, or if it's due on a specific day of that month. So maybe you want it on the 10th of every month, you can set that. So that's how you can set your schedule for a check-in. And then the schedule will allow it to appear on the client's dashboard on that day, send them a reminder. I'll show you what that looks like when we're looking at it from the client side. But for now, this is how you can set your schedules. Here you have a preview option. This allows you just to see what the form looks like. So that's really everything to creating a check-in. I'm now going to show you how you can actually assign a check-in to a client. When you're in a client profile, you'll see that there's a check-ins tab. If I go ahead to that check-ins tab, you'll see here we have 2 sections. We have their submissions and we have their assigned. So if I click on assigned, you'll see this client currently has 2 check-ins assigned. We can see the schedule set for this check-in, and we can also see when this check-in is due next based on the schedule. To add a check-in to a client, you can click on this add check-in. And if I do add check-in, you can create a new one, which will take you through the exact same steps we just went through, or you can pick one from your library. So if I click on this, these are the check-ins we have in our library. So let's say we want to import this monthly check-in. This now creates a copy into this client's check-ins. And what this means is I can click on this check-in and further modify it for this client without affecting the library that we just imported it from. So now let's head back and go to submissions. And this is where the client's check-in submissions will will appear. You'll see here you have the check-ins that they've submitted on the left. So at the moment there's 2 check-ins. One has been reviewed and one is still not reviewed. So I'm going to show you how we can review that a little later. Over here you'll see there's a compare option. This allows you to compare a check-in side by side. So if I click on compare, you'll see here we have this check-in here which was on the 15th of October, and then you have this check-in here which was on the 9th of October. It's very nice because you can view them side by side and you can filter for any check-in to have them side by side. So at the moment we only have 2, so we don't have other options, but if you had multiple check-ins you could select a specific date and have them side by side. So over here is where we have the client's answers for this specific check-in, and you can see here you have all the different types. So you have the questions, you have this was a yes or no question. This was a rating question out of 10. This here is the progress photo. And if you remember, I told you that this was synchronized. So what that means is the photos that were imported here were also synchronized here. So first I'll show you that you can compare a progress photo straight from the check-in. So I can click compare, and here I can see this photo here is from the current check-in, which is indicated here. And I can compare it directly from the check-in. So I can click on here and I can filter through different progress photos. I'll show you what I mean by it's synchronized. So if I go to the photos section, you'll see here you have the client's photos. Now this is a dedicated area for their progress photos, and anything that they've uploaded within the check-in system will be uploaded here as well. This is another example of the synced question. So this one here is for the metrics. We've asked them for their weight and they've entered 74. Now what's very nice is that you can view the graph straight from the check-in. So if I do view graph, I can see the client's weight over time straight from here. And if I go to the metrics section over here, you'll see that the weights that they've entered from their check-in is also synchronized to their metrics as well. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see that you have a review section. I'm going to show you how the review system works. First, we're going to jump to the check-ins section here in the sidebar. Here you'll see all your submitted check-ins. So this is currently showing us all the submitted check-ins for the current week. And here you'll see all the check-ins that are pending and all the check-ins that you have reviewed. So you can see right now there's 3 check-ins that have not been reviewed. You can see the name of the check-in and when they were submitted. And what we can do is we can click on a check-in. So I can click on this check-in here, for example, and it will open that check-in for me, and I can review the check-in, and then I can leave a check-in review comment. You can add a Loom link here. You can leave a descriptive feedback. So I can say, great job, seeing good progress. And something that's really nice is that you have this draft. So as you're typing the feedback, it drafts it for you, which allows you to jump around the client's profile and maybe look for more metrics that you want to analyze, and then you can jump back into the check-in and it's still there ready for you to continue reviewing it. And once you're ready and you're happy with the review, you can click on this submit review button. Let's go ahead and do that. Submit review. That has reviewed the check-in, and here you'll see it prompts you to your next check-in. So it tells us we have 2 check-ins left. We're at 50% completion rate of reviewing our check-ins. And I can click on this check-in straight from here and it will take me directly to my next check-in. I'll also show you if I head back to the check-ins, you'll see here we've just reviewed this, so we have 2 left. And if I head back to this check-in here, and I scroll to the bottom, I can see the review that I've left. So that's everything with the check-ins from the coach side. Now I'm going to hop onto the client side to show you how the check-in works from the client's app. So I am now logged in as a client in the client app. And the first thing you'll see here in the dashboard is that there's a task section. And if there's a check-in due, it will appear in the tasks. So for example, here you'll see that there's a daily check-in that's due today, and they can see that and fill it straight from here. And there's also a weekly check-in. Now this weekly check-in is overdue, so if something is overdue, it will still appear up until the next check-in is due. So the client can fill the check-in from here. They can click on this. So if I go ahead and click on this here, you can see here they can see all their questions, and the cover photo that you add appears here. So let's go ahead and answer this. I'm just gonna type in anything for now just to show you what it looks like. So I've just filled in the form. I can go ahead and click submit, and there we go. The form is now submitted, and you can see here it will let them know it's completed. So that's how they can view their check-ins from their tasks. But there's also a dedicated check-in area. So if I go to the profile tab, you'll see that there's this check-ins here. Here they can see all their check-in. For each check-in based on the schedule you've set, they can see the next due date. The client can always come here and fill in the check-in straight from here. So if I click on this, you can see here we have the check-in and we can fill it in and submit it. There's also the submissions section. So any of the forms that they submit appear here. If you've reviewed it and left a comment, it will say comment attached. If I go ahead and click on this, they can see the comments. So this is the one we just left earlier. And then they can also view their previous submissions. Now, whenever you review a check-in, it will notify the client, and if they go to their notification section, they will be able to see that a check-in has been reviewed, and if they click on this, they can view the comment that you've left. So that's the check-ins from the client side. I'm now going to switch over to the coach app to show you how you can view these check-ins and review check-ins as well straight from the coach app. So I am now logged in as a coach on the coach app, and you'll see here we can see how many check-ins we have pending, and we have a dedicated check-ins tab here. So if I click on this check-ins tab, I can view all the check-ins. So here you'll see we have 3 check-ins that are pending review, which are these 3, and we have 2 check-ins that have been reviewed so far. I can go ahead and click on this check-in. So let's review this check-in. I can view the check-in, scroll to the bottom, and I can leave a review and do submit. And just like that, we've reviewed this check-in straight from the coach app. And now I'm going to show you what the check-ins look like if you go to a profile tab in the app. So if we go to our clients, I'm going to go ahead and click on this client. If we go to the profile section, there is a check-ins submitted. So I can see all their submitted check-ins straight from here. So if I click on this, I can view the client's check-ins, and I can also view the comments that I've left. So that's everything for the check-in system. Very powerful and very elegant from the client side, but also a very powerful review system from the coach side. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to leave them in the comments below.